Welcome back, viewers, for another chilling and terrifying story. And if you're new here, welcome to Whispers of Weird, where we tell you some of the most disturbing and mysterious tales you can imagine. Today's story, we're diving into the story of the worst kind. Imagine a man so meticulous, so twisted-minded that he believed he could commit the perfect crime by dissolving his victims in acid, thinking no one would ever find them. But little did he know, his own arrogance and self-greed would lead to his downfall and the end of his ruthless killing spree. Today we're diving deep into the disturbing story of John George Haigh, also known as the acid bath murderer. Stay watching because the details of his crimes are even more chilling and disturbing than you think. This story is by far one of the more terrifying ones. You try not to think about before you go to bed and try to sleep, because it will keep you up at night. Born in 1909 in Stamford, Lincolnshire, England, John Haigh's early life seemed at first glance relatively normal. But peel back the layers and you'll find a boy raised in a strict, almost suffocatingly religious household. His parents belonged to a sect known as the Plymouth Brethren, a group that taught Haigh the world was sinful and full of temptation. For hours, young John was made to read from the Bible, but behind that mask of innocence something far darker was brewing. As a child, he would often suffer from nightmares and strange visions, perhaps an early sign of the monstrous actions he would later commit. After leaving school, Haigh struggled to find his place in society. He worked various jobs, but something was always off. His charm and intelligence often masked his deceitful nature, leading to no one suspecting him of any of his crimes, leading him down a dangerous path. By the 1930s, Haigh turned to fraud. He was a natural con artist, smart, charismatic, and convincing. But like all criminals, his luck eventually ran out. In 1936, he was sentenced to prison for fraud. This experience changed him in more ways than one. Locked behind bars, Haigh began to dream of a more ambitious crime, a crime that wouldn't just make him rich but also untouchable. It was during this time that Haigh became obsessed with the idea of getting rid of evidence entirely. His thoughts drifted to sulfuric acid, a substance he believed could dissolve a body completely, leaving no trace behind, and his disturbing trail to manifest them would soon begin. After his release, Haigh's fraud schemes became even more elaborate, and soon, he began a killing spree that would shock the nation. His first known victim was William McSwan, a wealthy businessman Haigh had previously worked for. Haigh lured McSwan to a warehouse, bludgeoned him to death, and then, with chilling calmness, placed his body into a vat of sulfuric acid. 2 days later, all that remained of McSwan were a few sludge-like remnants. Haigh's twisted belief in the power of acid seemed to be confirmed. Emboldened, he continued his spree. John would go as far as killing his own family members. Haigh's parents would soon join his victim list, followed by another list of wealthier businessmen that Haigh despised. Haigh's motive wasn't just murder, it was greed. He took over his victims' properties, drained their bank accounts, and lived a life of luxury. He believed that as long as there was no body, there was no crime. But John Haigh made one fatal mistake. He underestimated forensic science. Despite his best efforts to dissolve every trace, bone fragments, gallstones, and dentures were found among the sludge he discarded. The police, led by forensic expert Dr. Keith Simpson, pieced together the horrific truth. Haigh's arrogance had led him to believe he was untouchable, but the evidence was undeniable. In 1949, Haigh was arrested for multiple murders. His calm demeanor during the trial shocked the public. He even claimed to have drunk the blood of his victims, though this was likely a ploy to appear insane and avoid the death penalty. But the jury wasn't convinced. After just minutes of deliberation, they found him guilty. John George Haigh was sentenced to death and was hanged on August 10, 1949. The acid bath murders left a stain on British criminal history that endures to this day. John Haigh's calculated cruelty and his belief that he could commit the perfect crime make him one of the most chilling figures in history. John Haigh's story serves as a grim reminder that evil can hide behind the most charming of masks. He thought he could outsmart the law, but in the end, the truth rose to the surface, just like the fragments of his victims. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more chilling true crime stories.